On a quiet morning in Lakewood, Washington, a fisherman cast his line into the still waters of Lake Steilacoom, expecting nothing more than a peaceful day. But what he pulled from the depths wasn't a fish. It was a heavy, waterlogged suitcase. Inside, wrapped in plastic sheeting, was a discovery that would haunt the community for decades to come. This is the story of the Lakewood Jane Doe, a young woman erased from the world and the chilling mysteries she left behind. The body was that of a woman, likely in her early 20s. She had dark hair, delicate features, and a life that seemed to have been systematically deleted. Detectives believed she had been dead for only a few days before being found. Her hands were severely damaged, a brutal and deliberate act, most likely to remove her fingerprints. Whoever did this wanted her to be a ghost, completely unrecognizable. The Lakewood police were baffled. They checked every missing persons report in the state, but none matched her description. She was a phantom, a Jane Doe with no past and no name. The first question in a long line of unanswered ones was simple. Who was she? Detectives immediately began scouring the area around the lake for clues. A few neighbors recalled hearing a loud splash late one night, but dismissed it as kids playing or an animal. No one thought to report it. The investigation then turned to the objects found with her. The suitcase itself was traced back to a discount store in Portland, Oregon, a 2-hour drive away. The purchase was made with cash. In an era before ubiquitous security cameras that lead when cold almost instantly, the plastic sheets used to wrap her body were tracked to a local hardware store. But again, it was a cash purchase. This wasn't a sloppy, heat-of-the-moment crime. This was meticulously planned. Every step seemed calculated to create a dead end, to ensure she remained a nameless victim in a forgotten suitcase. The police widened their search, casting a net across the entire region. They checked women's shelters, hospitals, schools, and even interstate bus and train records, hoping for a match. But there was nothing. It was as if she had never existed. A glimmer of hope appeared when a woman from nearby Tacoma came forward. She claimed she'd seen a girl matching Jane Doe's description arguing heatedly with a man in a parking lot just days before the body was found. But her memory was fuzzy. The description of the man too vague to be of any real use. The lead evaporated. As more dead ends piled up, detectives began to consider a new, more sinister possibility. What if she wasn't from Washington at all? What if she was brought here for the sole purpose of disappearing forever? As local leads dried up, the case of the Lakewood Jane Doe began to capture national attention, and with it came a wave of theories. Some believed she was a runaway, a young woman who had drifted to the West Coast and tragically crossed paths with the wrong person. Others suspected a connection to organized crime, speculating she might have been a victim of human trafficking or a witness silenced by a drug network. But one retired detective, who had spent years staring at the details of the case, offered the darkest theory of all. He said, this wasn't random. This was personal. Someone close to her didn't want her story ever to be told. The careful wrapping of the body, the methodical removal of her fingerprints, it all suggested a chilling familiarity, not the chaotic violence of a stranger. It pointed to someone who knew her and wanted her gone for good. 4 years. The case file gathered dust. The trail went cold, and the memory of the girl on the lake began to fade for all but the most dedicated investigators. But then, in 2010, a revolution in forensic science brought a stunning breakthrough. Advanced DNA technology, unimaginable when she was first discovered, was finally able to paint a faint picture of her origins. The tests revealed that Jane Doe's ancestry was linked to families in the Midwest, possibly from Illinois or Indiana. Hope surged through the investigation. A new, highly detailed facial reconstruction sketch was created and released nationwide. The phones at the Lakewood Police Department began to ring. Families of long-lost daughters called in, their voices trembling with a desperate hope for answers. But each call ended in heartbreak. None were a match. Today, the residents of Lakewood have not forgotten the young woman found in their lake. A simple gravestone in a local cemetery marks her final resting place. It reads, "Unknown but not forgotten." The detectives who first worked the case, now retired, still find themselves wondering about her. Was she a traveler passing through? A runaway who found herself in terrible danger? Or was she silenced by someone she knew? someone she trusted. One thing has always been certain: whoever killed her went to extraordinary lengths to erase her from existence, but they failed to erase her from the community's memory. More than 2 decades later, the identity of the Lakewood Jane Doe remains one of Washington's most chilling and persistent mysteries. Her name is still unknown. Her killer has never faced justice. And as the waters of Lake Steilacoom ripple quietly under the gray Pacific Northwest sky, one question hangs in the air. As haunting now as it was on the day she was found, who was she, and why was her life stolen so cruelly? Until someone, somewhere, comes forward with the missing piece of the puzzle, the suitcase in the lake will remain a silent, tragic symbol of a young woman lost and a story desperate to be told. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any information about this case, please contact the Lakewood Police Department. And if this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more unsolved mysteries. We'll see you next time.